Hey, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to take this arched doorway and drywall it and corner bead it so it looks like this. We're going to do that right after this. Okay, I'm on a job site today, so it's going to be a little bit echoey. We have hard floors, hard walls. Everything is hard in here, so it echoes. But I'll try and stay close to the microphone so it sounds decent. And what we're going to do is walk you through how you go about doing a square corner bead on an arched doorway. Now, this basic technique applies for if you're doing a rounded bullnose corner bead. I'll show you the slight differences on that, but let's get going on this and I'll show you how it's done. So the first thing you want to do is get your walls hung like we've got here. So normally you got the raw drywall on, and now you got to hang the drywall on this part. Well, the first thing you want to do is square this up. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, like for example, right here, there's little bits of this wall that ended up sticking over. And that happens normally if you're going to put a here, that doesn't matter because you'll put shims in and you'll have a space in here anyway. But because it's sticking over a little, we don't want to put our sheetrock on here and have it pop nails and be crooked and all that. So just square up any sheetrock that's hanging over. You can do that with your utility knife, or you can even take a 6-inch knife and just clean it up that way. And if you don't know how to cut the sheetrock, I'm going to give you a really quick crash course on cutting these narrow pieces. Okay, cutting something this narrow, we're cutting 4.5 inches here. It's a little bit tricky compared to cutting bigger. The more narrow you cut, the more difficult it is to cut sheetrock. So all you got to do is take your T-square. It's best to use the T-square. If you don't have one, you could chalk a line and just trace the line. And then you simply score it, which I've already done here. So this piece is already scored, and you'll see it's still totally solid, but it's not very hard to snap it. All you do is just push in that seam right there where you cut, and it snaps. Now that you got it like that, you just cut it on the backside with your utility knife and you're ready to go. Okay, the next thing you want to do is figure out how much you need to cover that arch. And I would suggest that you go longer than you think, because that arch, it'll kind of fool you sometimes. These are really tight arches, so we shouldn't need much more than about this. So this should give us some extra. Now this is the white side that you would normally leave out. So we're gonna turn it around to the brown or gray side. This is the back of the sheetrock. And you can tell real easy by the way the paper is seamed right there. And over here it's no seams. Okay, now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You could wet this, and in that case, you just keep wetting both sides and keep wetting it, and then you slowly start bending it. And a good way to do that is to find something to bend it over just real gently and just work it and work it. For the first one, we're just gonna do scores on the back side here. So with a dry piece of sheetrock, get you a straight edge, a speed square, your T-square, anything, and just start making a bunch of cuts across the back here. We're gonna cut about every 1/2 inch along this path here. So a lot of cuts, and if you're good at it, you can just freehand these. It doesn't have to be super exact. Now, I actually shot this video, I thought, and then it screwed up and I got nothing, so I've already got it up here. But what you do is you just put one right up here and you put it loose so this thing can still move. Because if you're not careful, it's really easy for this to start walking off as you're coming down. So put that one in loose, work it in a ways, And then just start at the top, start coming down with your screws and slowly attaching it to the shape of the curve. Put plenty of screws in because we did cut it every 1/2 inch, so you're trying to get it to slowly bend and curve. You don't want to put one here and one 6 inches away. You may have a flattish spot in here. So just put lots of them in here and attach it, and you're ready for the next step. And that's basically it for that. Hey, if you like learning these kind of skills and you want to learn how to do it yourself and how to do it right, be sure to click that subscribe button. And if you click the bell icon afterwards, you'll get notified each time we put out a video. And I put a lot of good information that you'll find useful in the description down below this video. Okay, now that we got all the pieces of rock hung on this, we're on to the next step. But let me show you a couple things that happened with me on this one. Okay, you see how there's a piece here and then it's curving and it's got a cut right here. Well, that's because while I was breaking it, it delaminated a little bit like in this picture. So I just cut out the pieces where the paper came loose and continued on. Because all we got to do is put a piece of mesh tape across that, and when we coat it, it'll be fine. But also, if you notice, I told you that this might try and run crooked. Well, you can see it kind of did on me. It started coming out this side, started over there. It likes to do that when you put these up there. Luckily, it didn't go too far, so I can live with that. All right, it did that on this side too, but now what you need to do is we're gonna make our own flex bead out of this. This is straight flex, and it's a product that you can bend. It's good for if you're doing an angle, a corner that's not a 90. It flexes to whatever. You can also use it on inside corners. So it's a very versatile product. In this instance, it's gonna work great for what we wanna do. Now you could go buy some plastic corner bead that's pre-cut the way we're gonna do this. But I'm gonna show you how to make your own if you want to. I have this in my trailer, so I didn't happen to have any flex corner beads, so I'm just gonna make it. All right, all you do is you take, and on one side of this corner, you make a bunch of cuts. You just simply cut it all the way down to the corner, about every 1/4 inch. And then when you go to put it up here, you can see it will flex and follow the shape of that curve. Now this is a tape-on corner bead, so you can't nail this on the plastic kind that you buy at the big box store or drywall supply. Usually drywall supply is your best chance at getting that. Now that stuff is a nail-on or screw-on corner bead, or you can staple it on with a heavy-duty narrow crown stapler. But if you want to just tape it on, this is the product you need right here. This is just a demo piece. We're gonna cut enough to go from here to here, just through the curve section, times 4, and then we're gonna go ahead and continue on. Now you could stand a whole piece up here and cut it just right here, and I might even do that. Now let me show you something right here. You see how it's got this big gap? That's gonna be a little bit of an issue. That's because I hung this not thinking I was hanging this, so I didn't make it go flush. And the problem is this is only so wide, so you can see it's not really going to reach over there and have any strength. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fill this up with some hot mud, get it flushed out like normal, and then we'll glue this to the hot mud, and that'll make it a solid piece. Okay, so you reel out a bunch of this off of the roll that I showed you. Then you want to crease it together. Now on this straight flex, if you read right here, so on this one it says on the outside corner the print faces the wall. So we're gonna put it on the wall like that. On an inside corner, you would just put it in the corner like this and you would see it. But follow the instructions, and all you do is you take this stuff and you just pre-crease it. You just fold it like this. I run my fingers down it, and you see now we have an instant corner. You can use this on your regular square corners too. Okay, then to cut this, all you really need is a pair of scissors. It cuts really easy. So like for example, to cut it for length, all we have to do is, I'm gonna cut through 2 layers at once to show you. It's really, really tough stuff, but you can still cut to it. Now, when I say it's tough, I mean you can't hardly tear it. If you try and just tear this, it's just really tough. So it's a great product. It cuts easy, but it doesn't tear much at all. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start down here at the floor and come up here and find where it's going to start needing to curve, and then you got to cut the correct side. So in this case, this would be flat, this would be the cut side. So you cut on the wall side, not on the inside of the wall. Hopefully that's coming across okay. Okay, now I'm going to tape this on. I'm using some 20-minute hot mud. You can use hot mud if you want, but you might want to go with 45 or 90. Hot mud is fast setting joint compound. Or you can just use some all-purpose mud. I recommend full weight if you do that. I've added a little bit of glue to this to make sure it sticks a little better. There is a special glue for drywall like you see here. Okay, I decided to give you guys another alternative. So over here, we're just gonna tape on some regular tape-on corner bead. You could even do the nail-on corner bead and just do the flex bead for this part. That's up to you. So to put this on, we wanna put on a good, solid, thick coat of mud on here. Don't be stingy at all. Now you just want to make sure that you square it up so it's not twisted around either way too much, and don't flatten it out too much. You actually want a little bit of height right here compared to here so that you can fill it with mud in between here. If you get it too flat, this may actually be below the surface of this, and that's a real big mistake. So you're better off, if nothing else, pinch it a little bit. That gives it that height rather than push it too flat. Okay, notice here where I'm wiping, the tape just didn't want to stick real good. It was kind of lifting. So what I did is just take scissors, cut it
That allows both pieces to lay back down. Then that made this upper part come loose a little bit, so I just pushed it back down and wiped it gently again, and it's good to go.
Okay, you're not trying to make this stuff look perfect right now. We still have to come back and coat it. You're just trying to make sure everything is bedded right, stuck down, and in the right shape. And then we're gonna coat it about 2 more times after this. Okay, so on this side, what I used is tape-on corner bead. And in this case, the corner is a permanent 90-degree angle, and it already has the tape on the back of it, so I just cut it for length right here. I always cut it just a little bit short, don't want to make it too tight. And then we just put it on the same way. Lots of mud, wipe it down. Now when you're wiping this down, you want to make sure this lines up really well, and then wipe more on the tape side. You can't really wipe much out from under the metal side. So you can, but then go over and make sure the tape is stuck down. Now just like taping a joint, don't wipe too much mud out. In this case, it's better to leave a little bit extra underneath than to wipe too much out. You just want it to be stuck without a lot of excess mud under it. And then we'll move on to the next step. And there's actually a couple more steps besides just coating it. There's one more trick I'm going to show you. Okay, it's now all taped with a couple different types. So on this side is the straight flex bead. And then when I reached this point with all the cuts, I went ahead and pre-coated this because the first coat was already setting up the 20-minute hot mud, so I put a quick little coat on it. All right, now right here's where I put the little piece right in the middle, and you can see that they're lining up pretty dang close. Our mud will take care of the rest of that. Then on this side is the tape-on corner bead, and it comes out a little different. I actually like the straight flex better because the metal will often rise up like that, and it's just not quite as pretty to me as the straight flex side. So here you can see straight flex on the left and tape-on corner bead on the right, and see how much deeper it leaves it. So this straight flex is a great product. I'll put a link to this in the description down below. Okay, now it has set up enough. We're ready to go ahead and coat it, but here's one of the tricks I'm going to show you. You know how we pre-filled some areas because the tape, the corner bead tape wasn't quite going to get over there? Well, in order to make that even stronger, I like to go around and put some mesh tape. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it everywhere, all along these edges, and that'll reinforce this corner bead that we put on here to the drywall. Helps keep that from cracking, and this trick works even better with metal corner bead. This is taped on, so it's all glued down. It's pretty sturdy, but those areas where we pre-filled it, that has kind of got the paper tape sitting on raw mud connected to drywall. This will make it stronger. Plus, we actually had some joints in here which are now hard to see, and I could have taped them beforehand, but here's another way we can do it. We'll just run some mesh tape right down the middle, and this is a extra tough mesh tape. If I can find this on Amazon, I'll put a link in the description for you. It's just woven a little tighter, a little thicker, and it's wider right here. So it's going to cover from that one to that one better. So let's go ahead and tape all these down. Now this red on here, that's some spray adhesive, because although this is self-adhesive mesh tape, it doesn't like to stick to wet drywall mud. This is the hot mud, which has set up, so it's firm, but it's still damp, and this doesn't want to stick so well. So if you spray a little spray adhesive on here first, it makes it hold a lot better. Okay, what you want to do along here is you don't want to get your mesh tape too close to the corner. So just go about like so. Split it a little bit. Like that. That's going to give you the strength you need.
And if you want to learn how to coat it properly, I'm going to do that in a separate video to keep the video length short, so be sure to look for that. There may be a link right there on the left. And I hope you'll take a second to give us a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe, click that bell icon if you want to know about future videos as we release them. And as always, thank you, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.